last expression of yesterday's session, which was actually the mean square value of an LTI filter, which represents the time domain characterization of a weakly stationary process applied to a linear filter. So if I have a linear filter, okay, whose impulse response is h of t, I supply a random process. I take by default, you should understand that this is a weakly stationary, wide sense stationary process or weakly stationary process, which gives out another random process y of t. So far, we have analyzed with respect to time domain characterization of this process, which gave us the mean square value as expectation of y square of t. This is the same expression picked from the last end of the last session, minus infinity to infinity, minus infinity to infinity, h of tau 1, h of tau 2 are x of the time difference between tau 1 and tau 2. So I can write either tau 1 minus tau 2 or tau 2 minus tau 1, because by the symmetry property of autocorrelation function, by symmetry property, we know that it is even symmetry. Okay, by that rule, just for the mathematical sake, I just take a difference of tau 2 minus tau 1 instead of tau 1 minus tau 2 as I had written in the previous session. It is one and the same, but for the analysis, this helps me to ease a mathematical representation. So tau 1, sorry for that, tau 1, tau 2. Yeah, okay. So now our next study of this characterization of linearly filtered weakly stationary processes by using frequency domain ideas. Sometimes the analysis or the results with respect to time domain will not reveal much of the information about the system or the process. To have an intuitive understanding about what is happening inside the system, sometimes frequency analysis serves a lot of meaningful outcomes. Say if you want to say it in a very crude terms, what do you always take Fourier transform or Fourier series instead of just keeping everything in time domain? Say if you take current pandemic situation, if you consider the cases which are positive COVID positive cases which are collected by the government of Karnataka or government of India on every daily basis, just the count may not give you meaningful results. Instead of that, having just simple positive counts, if you try to group them into several categories, say if you try to group them into age wise or the gender wise or the region wise or the ward wise in Bangalore city itself. So if you try to segregate into different bins, then the frequency of occurrence in each bins will give you more meaningful values. In with keeping such ideas behind, just the numbers in time in a daily routine or time basis may not be sufficient to analyze the properties of a phenomenon. So and hence Fourier has contributed to mathematics about analysis of any process will have more intuitive meaning if you try to convert that into frequency domain. Similarly, with that idea behind, we will try to analyze this entire process in a frequency domain basis, and in other words, we'll try to take the Fourier transform of this mean square value that we have calculated in yesterday's session. Before moving to that, we need to list out few known things to us, where just now I have written that the frequency response of any LTI system that you know, this is your frequency response of an LTI system is nothing but simply minus infinity to infinity, the Fourier transform of your, which I just wrote, tau d tau. So this implies, since I have got h of tau 1 and h of tau 2, these are all time domain impulse response of this LTI system. If I try to represent that one of those values, say h of tau 1 at timestamp tau 1, it is simply the inverse Fourier transform of this function. So these are the Fourier pairs. So I can write this as minus infinity to infinity h of f e power, since it is at timestamp tau 1, this will be e power j2 pi f tau 1 df. Okay. Now if I substitute this h of tau 1 back to this expression which I have written, okay, this implies now this mean square value, which is expectation of y square of t, is simply minus infinity to infinity. Okay, it's a double integral, minus infinity to infinity. Okay, h of tau 1 turns out to be another integral, and to differentiate that, I'll put a bracket and write minus infinity to infinity. I'll simply substitute this inverse Fourier transform tau 1 df. Okay, so this is replacement of h of tau 1. Rest everything is intact. Rxx tau 2 minus tau 1 d tau 1 and d tau 2. Okay, so it may seem very mathematically cumbersome, but it will be simplified with known results that we have with us. Okay, now just rearranging the terms, I can add this h of f, which is independent of all these differentiations. So h of f, I'll try to pull that out. So this h of f, then if I have the first integral, I'll retain this h of tau 2 d tau 2. I'll group these two, d tau 2. Okay, so this is the inner integral. The outer integral will definitely be with respect to tau 1, so which I have to write now, minus infinity to infinity. So the integration with respect to the other parameters, what is left is Rxx tau 2 minus tau 1, and of course I'm left with e power j 2 pi f tau 1 d tau 1 df. Okay, hope I have not missed out any term there. It's just a rearrangement of all the integrands. Okay, so this right hand side looks rather overwhelming. This looks complicated, but we can still simplify by substituting a dummy variable. Say substitute this tau 2 minus tau 1 as simply as time difference tau. This implies this tau 1 is nothing but tau 2 minus tau. Okay, I'll replace this inside the bracket of autocorrelation function with simply tau, but the exponential here has the term tau 1, which gets replaced with tau 2 minus tau, and hence I can replace. I mean, I can pull down to single variable tau 1 there. So if that is the case, this will become minus infinity to infinity. This is h of f minus infinity to infinity. Tau 2 I'll retain as it is. So this integral I'll try to replace with the new variable tau, and this tau 1 gets also replaced with tau2 minus tau, and this will be simply d tau1. Okay, I'll have to replace this as well since tau is a constant. So this I can simply say as d tau itself, a new variable, and close the bracket, df. Okay, so now again rearrange the terms, collecting tau2 terms, and we will simplify this integration. This is h of f, which comes outside, and this next integral is minus infinity to infinity h of tau2. I'll plug tau2 term from this, so which will give me exponential of j2 pi f tau2 d tau2. There is another integral minus infinity to infinity, whatever is left, rxx of tau, and this is e power minus j2 pi f tau d tau. And of course, this entire thing is inside the square bracket, sorry, of df. Okay, now if you carefully note all these different integrals, the term here, this integrand, this integral part, this is simply it appears to be a Fourier transform of, h of tau2 e power j2 pi f tau2 d tau2 appears to be a Fourier transform, but the only change here is the minus sign is missing. In the sense, tau2 is replaced with minus tau2 is replaced with plus tau2. So in other words, I can take this as, okay, since I have defined, if I go back little up, I have defined h of f to be h of tau e power minus j2 pi f tau. If you carefully note this, h of f and this highlighted integral both look very similar, but instead of minus sign I have a plus sign. So I can say if this is a complex exponential, if e power minus j theta is one exponential, e power plus j theta is simply a complex conjugate of it. Okay, so with that idea, I can replace this highlighted term with, which is nothing but h of f, but it is a complex conjugate of h of f. Okay, so that would be the succinct way of writing this second integral, and rest everything will be as it is. It's equal to minus infinity to infinity. This is h of f, okay, as it is, and rest is inside the bracket of minus infinity to infinity, rxx of tau e power minus j2 pi f tau d tau df. Okay, now as you know, h of f times h conjugate of f, if you multiply a complex number with its complex conjugate, the result would be simply the square of its magnitude. So I can simply replace these two products with square of their magnitudes, and rest everything is same, which is integral minus infinity to infinity rxx of tau e power minus 2 pi tau d tau. Okay, remember the left hand side is mean square value. Okay, all right, so we can further concisely write this right hand side of the equation, where the term inside the bracket, it appears to be simply a Fourier transform of this autocorrelation function rxx of tau. Okay, now further simplifying or writing this expression, which is nothing but Fourier transform of this rxx of tau, which I'll replace this as simply as, it's a new notation, as sxx of f Okay, replacing that as Fourier transform of that pair, I can rewrite this expression as expectation of y square of t, which is your mean square value, is nothing but just try to move this little ahead, is minus infinity to infinity square of this magnitude times this. I have been replacing it as xxs of f df. Okay, so this is the desired frequency domain equivalent to the time domain representation that we had done earlier. Okay, so this means that the mean square value of the output of a stable LTI filter in response to another weakly stationary process, which is x of t that we have considered, is equal to the integral over entire frequency ranges minus infinity to infinity of the power spectral density of the input process multiplied by the squared magnitude of the response of the filter, where this x of f is turned out to be is power spectral density. Okay, or sometimes it is simply stated as power spectrum. Okay, this will serve an important term in our communication theory. Okay, so let's it's not just the equation, it has its physical significance as well. We'll try to understand its physical importance before we try to apply onto our communication theory. Okay, this is a physical significance, of course, of PSD. Shortly it is called as power spectral density. Okay, so if you try to investigate the physical significance of this PSD, if I consider a stochastic process which is weakly stationary process x of t, say consider a process x of t which is wide sense stationary random process or weakly stationary process supplied to a filter whose filter response something looks like this. If I try to plot, if I try to take a filter response something like this, if I try to take a filter whose response, if it looks like this, where this is your h of f, in fact this is magnitude of h of f. If that filter is a narrow band filter, okay, which is symmetric to the origin, okay, whose center frequency is considered to be, say, a carrier frequency fc, and whose bandwidth is assumed to be, say, delta f, similar with respect to the negative scale. Of course, this is your frequency scale. Okay, so if this random process x of t is passed through an LTI whose frequency response looks something like this, where mathematically this can be written as h of f, whose magnitude representation can be written in this fashion, which has a value, say this value, let us take it as normalized to 1. Okay, so this will have a value 1 only between fc plus delta f by 2 and fc minus delta f by 2, and similarly with the negative scale. So if I try to represent that mathematically, it is simply this is 1 between f plus or minus fc less than delta f by 2, and it is 0 for this value greater than delta f by 2. This is a mathematical description of this transfer function of this filter that I am considering. Now, if this is the case, then what would be the output power spectral density of the LTI filter? X of t is applied to that LTI filter whose frequency response, I mean that filter is a band pass filter which has got value of unity only for a range of values, and we assume that this FC is much greater than delta f, the bandwidth itself. This is the usual case with all your wireless communication, be it 3G or 4G, where the carrier frequency is around a gigahertz. Say if it's a GSM, it starts with around 800 megahertz, and if it's a 4G or LTE, it goes up to 2.5 gigahertz of carrier whose bandwidth is just the bandwidth will be in terms of megahertz of frequencies. So if that is the case, FC will be much greater than delta f. Say if that is the case, then what would be the output of such an LTI filter? If I try to apply the formula that just we have written, just we have derived just in the today's session, E of y square of t, which represents the mean square value of it. So if I try to find out mean square value of this case, this particular case, expectation of y square of t, okay, it is simply again integrating over all the frequencies between minus infinity to infinity, magnitude of h of f the whole square, where it has value only between of f plus or minus fc, and whose value or the magnitude is 1 multiplied by xs of f. So what would be the resultant of that without even substituting and calculating mathematically? What do you expect the result of a mean square value? Any answers? So this will have only two values. One is xx of f into delta f, okay, plus sxx of f into another delta f. One represents this delta f, another represents this delta f. So ultimately you have the mean square value expectation of y square of t is approximately twice of delta f times the power spectral density of the input. Okay, so this is for all f. All right, so if in the case, I can rewrite this sxx of f as E of y square of t over say 2 delta f. Okay, just ignoring this value 2, this can also be ignored because if I take delta f by 2, this will go off. This will be simply delta f. But the true meaning of this power spectral density, why it is called as power spectral density, originates from this result, where the numerator represents this represents average power. The mean square value, as I told, represents the average power. So divided by the denominator indicates the frequency range. Okay, so this is a frequency range or the bandwidth of the filter. So it is nothing but power divided by frequency. Okay, so it's power density. So in the sense, it's power by area. Area is in terms of frequency here, for which the value of your frequency response of the filter is unity. So this is something like power divided by the area, where area is the length of the frequency ranges, and hence this is nothing but power density. Since it is in frequency domain, it is called as, since it is in the when the bandwidth is in terms of frequency, this is called as power spectral density. It is not simply a density, but it is power spectral density. Okay, that's why this Sxx of f, which is a Fourier transform of your autocorrelation function, is termed to be power spectral density because of this reason. This gives you the amount of power content in a specific range of values. Okay, so this is an important parameter moving ahead with the communication theory in this course, or the courses related to the digital communication. Okay. Any doubts?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, I did not understand how you wrote E of y square of t equal to
I'm sorry, your voice is breaking. I'm extremely sorry, your voice is breaking. Can you repeat the question?
Sir, I think he's asking how did you get e of y square of t from the integral thing, sir?
E of y square of t from the integral thing.
Yes, sir. How did you simplify that?
This one.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So he just wants to get clarified with application to this. Okay. See, I'm calculating expectation of y square of t. So I need to substitute h of f over the range of minus infinity to infinity. Since it's a specific case of a filter whose response of this nature has the value unity or non-zero value only between some fc plus f delta f by 2 and fc minus delta f by 2. It has got ranges of values non-zero. I mean, it has got the value of non-zero only within this frequency range. So h of f is unity, so it is 1 square. Between what range? Between fc plus delta f by 2 and fc minus delta f by 2, whose difference is nothing but delta f. So that is for the positive part into s excess of f. So that is the first part of this expression, s excess of f times your times delta of f. So for similarly with the negative scale, this is simply the range. One is minus fc plus f and another one is minus fc plus delta f by 2, another is minus fc minus delta f by 2, whose difference again will turn out to be delta f. Again 1 square into delta f, which is your df, it's simply the difference of the upper and lower limits, 1 square into delta f into s excess of f. So that turns out to be twice of delta f times the power spectral density of the input random process itself. I hope that was a question that he had asked. Was I okay? Or you need any more explanation?
Yes, sir, understood.
Okay, okay. Fine. Okay, so this in the long run you may forget the origin of power spectral density, I'm sure, because this will be used in several cases in our communication theory. But please remember that the basic meaning of power spectral density is origination of this result, where it is average power of the signal of the output over the bandwidth of or the frequency ranges within which there is a non-zero value of the frequency response. Okay, so that's a result of, I mean, that's how you can understand the physical significance of power spectral density. So quickly you can understand that S excess of f is nothing but the Fourier transform of your autocorrelation function. So without stating or without explaining much, this is nothing but S excess of f is nothing but it is a Fourier transform of your autocorrelation function, which we have replaced this term. Remember, this was a term that we replaced earlier in the derivation, minus tau d tau, and obviously I can find out the autocorrelation function if I am given the power spectral density, which turn out to be a Fourier transform pair S excess of f e power j 2 pi f tau df. Okay, so remember, if you are given autocorrelation function, you can find out PSD, or if PSD is given, then you can find out autocorrelation function. And this pair is known as, there is a specific name to this, of this is known as, in the literature, it is known to be Wiener, Khinchin relation. Okay, there is a theorem associated with which we'll be studying in second unit when we take the first block of your digital communication, which is your unlock to digital converter. We'll again talk about this Wiener-Khinchin theorem, which we will utilize this relation of Fourier transform pair of autocorrelation function and PSD. That's the reason I specifically wrote this relation. Pardon me if I have written this spelling of Khinchin wrongly, but as far as my knowledge is concerned, this is what is the actual spelling of the scientist Khinchin. Okay, so you might have, you may be studying Wiener, I mean in terms of Wiener filters, if you are exposed to speech processing or speech related filters. Wiener filter is one of the famous filters, which is a contribution by, again, the scientist Wiener himself. Okay. So this is all traces back to your signal theory. Anyway, we'll be utilizing this in our communication course as well. All right. Since I've got 15 minutes more, I can quickly list down a few properties, important properties of this power spectral density, which is also a part of your syllabus. Properties of power spectral density. Okay, the first property that is very evident property, where since we have taken a weak sense stationary process to arrive at this definition, the individual frequency, components of this power spectral density, okay, S xx of f of a weakly stationary process or wide sense stationary process. Every time I repeat that word, weakly stationary process or wide sense stationary process, so as to remind you that it depends on the literature or the reference that you consider. These two terms are used interchangeably. Okay, so of a weakly stationary process, x of t are uncorrelated with each other. Okay, so this is one of the important property of this power spectral density. If you take two frequency components, say for example, say if I take power spectral density of this nature, of f, say if it is something like this, over the value of f, then if I consider two samples, okay, say each of the samples are of the range of delta f, okay, if I consider these two samples, then those values, the values under these two ranges of frequencies are uncorrelated with each other, in the sense one doesn't relate with each other. In other words, covariance of these samples taken, x of f, and say I utilize this x of f, say u of f and v of f is 0. Okay, so that's the result of, I mean, that's a property of this your power spectral density. Okay, that assumes that, I mean, that is attributed to your weak weakly stationary process. Since we have assumed the stochastic process x of t to be a weak sense stationary, and hence that is this is the result of that assumption. The second property, which is an important property, is the zero frequency value of PSD. Okay, you can recall that your zero time value where Rxx of 0. So zero time value of autocorrelation function was nothing but this mean square value of the random process. So this we had done when we had dealt with autocorrelation function. Similarly, the zero frequency value of PSD, which is Sxx of 0, okay, at f is equal to 0, this is nothing but minus infinity to infinity. Remember or recall that power spectral density is a Fourier transform of autocorrelation function. This is nothing but Rxx of tau e power minus j2 pi tau, but f I have taken as 0. It is at 0 frequency at DC value. So e power 0 will be 1, and simply this is the area under the curve of your autocorrelation function. Okay, so in other words, the zero frequency value of your power spectral density of a weakly stationary process is nothing but the total area under the curve of autocorrelation function. Okay, this is obtained by simply substituting f is equal to 0. Okay, this also to be worthy to note. So third property is mean square value of stationary process. Mean square value of stationary process. Okay, so that we know as expectation of x square of t, which is your mean square value. The definition of mean square value, expectation of this, is nothing but the area under the curve of Sxx of f df. How did we obtain this? It is simply again comes to this relation of Rxx of 0 is equal to expectation of x square of t. This is obtained by simply substituting tau is equal to 0. So this is obtained by putting f is equal to 0. This is obtained by substituting tau is equal to 0 in your previous relation. Okay, so if you want to find out mean square value or average power of a stationary process, simply you take the area under the curve of the PSD. If you want to find out the DC value or DC content in a power spectral density, you simply take the area under the curve of autocorrelation function. Okay, one is converse of another. Okay, so fourth important property is non-negativeness. Non-negativeness of PSD. Okay, so this means that the power spectral density of a stationary process x of t is always non-negative. Otherwise, it is monotonically increasing function. So this Sxx of f is always greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so this goes with immediate consequence of the fact that the mean square value expectation of y square of t, where we have defined PSD as a ratio of expectation of y square over the bandwidth to delta f. Okay, we know that the numerator is a mean square value which cannot be negative. Okay, we don't know whether the meaning of negative powers. We always I mean, since it's a square of all those values, we'll never get a negative term in the numerator. And obviously the bandwidth, we also talk about the positive values. Based on this fact, we can say it's not monotonically increasing function. I beg your pardon. This is a non-negative value of power spectral density, which doesn't take any any negative values. In other words, it can fluctuate with the positive values. It's not a monotonic increasing function. Okay. So fifth property is symmetry. We'll utilize all these in solving some of the applications onto communication theory. Okay. So with this symmetry, it is again similar to your even symmetrical property of your autocorrelation function. Similarly, the PSD is also even function of the frequency, which can be mathematically represented as Sxx of minus f is equal to Sxx of f. Okay. So this can be proved, but you can simply replace f with minus f in the basic definition of PSD, and again you can see that the both are them are similar with each other. Okay, I will not. That's a very trivial proof. Anyway, the sixth property, we always talk about this, is normalization. The PSD, when it is appropriately normalized, it has the properties associated with a PDF, which is your probability density function in probability theory. Since everything can be traced back to your basic probability theory, whose statistical characteristic, one of them was probability density function, we can always write the PDF of this random process x of t in terms of PSD, which can be written as the probability density function, say P df as your PSD normalized to x of f df. Okay, so this is the probability density function of your random process x of t in terms of the power spectral density. As you know, again, this PSD, since it is non-negative, accordingly your PDF will also be greater than or equal to 0 for all frequency values, and it also obeys your basic property of your probability density function, where it is a non-decreasing function of the frequency f, and it has got a limits between 0 and 1. Okay, since we know that probability of any random process is always lies between 0 and 1, and accordingly this PDF also obeys such basic properties. Okay, this is it about the probability density function, and all we need to do is apply the definition of PDF onto certain standard examples and try to find its meaningful values.